Hello my friends and welcome. Firstly, let's review the minor changes on the front lines. Ukrainian army still moves forward, but not as we expected before, not as it was the last year in Kharkiv or Kherson regions, but the main strike will be very soon, I'm sure about it. About the situation of the landing of Ukrainian forces on the other shore close to Aleshki. Our guys are still there, but also there is the fog of war. So not much information is coming about the situation, but we know that Russia cannot push our forces out from the place. Ukrainian army may create the controlled territory and the supply point for further groups, and finally we're gonna get Aleshki under control as well as nearby villages. Probably you remember the video that I showed you a couple of days ago. It was filmed from the Russian drone from that particular place, and it appeared that it was the friendly fire of Russians towards the Russian positions. Also, there was the friendly fire of the Russian artillery towards the Russian positions near to Pervomaisk. It is the southeastern parts of the front lines, and they demolished a lot of their positions. It happened over here, not far away from Marinka on the north part. I just checked the exact position. It happened over here near to Pisky village. It means that Ukrainian army moves forward. Because of the miscommunication in Russian army, they thought that Ukraine already took those positions and they start to fire with their artillery. But we are moving forward actually, and it's been confirmed by all of the media resources that Ukraine took this part of the land till the border of 2014. It happened around 1 week ago, so it's the great achievement of Ukrainian army that we push Russians towards that time in the past. For Avdiivka there are no any changes recently. For the Bakhmut there is just a light change. We are moving closer to Klishivka. Let's go and check the movement. So previous update and today's update, little by little we are moving forward. The main thing that Ukrainian army, the 3rd Assault Brigade, already crossed the channel, the natural obstacle, and free to go further to Andriivka, to Kurdimovka, to Klishivka. They now have the new opportunities for further movement. But still, the movement of Ukrainian army, as you can see, in general is very slow. The counterattack in this area is ongoing for around 1 month already. And just look at the ground that Ukraine was able to liberate. It's not even close to what happened in Kharkiv region. Nevertheless, Ukraine continued to push. It's not the blitzkrieg operation. So finally, Ukraine will be able to encircle or half encircle the Bakhmut city. Russian army is getting weaker and weaker day by day, especially without the Wagner army. My friends, again we have some of the news about the Wagner activity that happened on this weekend. It is still a very important topic to talk about. Let's go to those news. This morning Prigozhin went to Minsk, the capital city of Belarus. He used his own private jet, and there he met with President, or the self-proclaimed President, Lukashenko. Actually, there were 2 of the parking jets, and we have the satellite image of them parked in Minsk airfield. The meeting took around 5 hours in a local Lukashenko residency. After that, both of the planes went back to Moscow, but I think Prigozhin stayed in Minsk. Before the meeting, Lukashenko went on the press conference where he explained the events that were happening during the last Saturday. From his words, we may understand that Putin was in desperate. He really thought that he would lose the power in Russia. By the time Wagner was going to Moscow, Putin called to many of the country leaders, including Kazakhstan's President Tokayev and Lukashenko. Tokayev didn't want to solve any problems for Putin. He just said that it's internal business of the Russian Federation. So your problem is your problem. But Lukashenko finally decided to solve this issue. Putin said that they were unable to contact Prigozhin. So Putin decided to launch the counteroffensive measures that they announced in many of the cities of Russia, including Moscow. They they were really in desperate, they were waiting for the bloody fight. But Lukashenko said that it's better not to escalate the situation, and he tried and he reached the Wagner leader Prigozhin. We are still in lack of the information about their deal, but somehow Prigozhin decided to stop and turn around. So for sure it wasn't played by Putin. And probably Prigozhin got something interesting in that deal, because he forced Putin to panic. Putin just flown from Moscow to St. Petersburg, some say to Valdai, but it was the St. Petersburg. So probably Putin and Lukashenko, they exchanged something for Prigozhin to stop this offensive towards the Moscow. What was that is yet unknown. Why I'm almost sure about that? Because it's a very illogical action from Prigozhin to turn around. He might have performed this maneuver only if he gets profit. The other version, and it also could be, that Prigozhin's military coup should have been supported by some of the politicians inside the Moscow elite. So they used Prigozhin as the military tool, but finally from the political perspective they should have taken the power and seized their resistance in Moscow. But at the final step they were afraid to act, so Prigozhin was used as the condom. So he saw that there is no way out for him if he continues his trip. Well, I guess that in the nearby future we'll see why it happened and what is behind the deal with Lukashenko, Putin and Prigozhin. Very interesting triangle. With those companions, it's hard to obtain truth. Putin continued his cringy press marathon. This morning he met with the representatives from the armed forces of Russia, from the National Guard, greeted them for their resistance against the Wagner army. Well, actually there was no resistance, just some of the helicopter pilots decided to fire some missiles on the Wagner army columns. By the way, many of the pilots refused to conduct that order against the Wagner soldiers. We got this information from official Russian affiliated channels and also Russian military bloggers. There is the risk for those pilots to be prosecuted. I would say that Ukraine got the profit from all of this situation with Wagner. First of all, there will be no more Wagner army in Russia, the most capable army they had. The second win, that Shoigu is still a defense minister of Russia. He is in lack of the competence, he is the corrupt person. He personally and his deputies really done a lot for Ukrainian army success. Without the corruption, Russian army, I think, would have taken Kiev. Putin continued to tell the bullshit about the Ukrainian army losses on the south. He said that for the recent 7 days Ukraine lost more than 40 tanks and many more armored vehicles. He got this information probably from the Shoigu, and Shoigu just writes those letters and numbers and share them to Putin. Putin really believes in those numbers and tell them to everyone, and we are laughing. One more video from the front lines. I guess it was filmed around 2 days ago. It's about the Ukrainian counteroffensive or offensive actions near to Bakhmut. Ukraine uses some sort of the rocket systems to target the Russian positions across the natural obstacle. Here we're speaking about this channel that goes all across the southern part, and finally Ukraine was able to cross it and to control over the nearby territory. There was the heavy fire towards the Russian positions, and after that Ukraine uses the armored vehicles, light armored vehicles. Those are Soviet made, probably BMP-2 or something like that, and with infantry support our guys were able to cross the river. So here you can see those are not Bradleys, but based on the silhouette I may say that those are the Soviet made old vehicles, but still capable. Here are the Russian soldiers who left their positions and went across the channel. I'll publish this video on my Telegram channel. By the way, my friends, soon we're gonna reach 200,000 subscribers on Telegram. I use it as my alternate resource, and there I may publish something that I cannot publish on this resource. So follow me on Telegram. The link is in the video description just below. As you probably know, the Wagner army was acting not just in Ukraine, but they are in Syria and some of the African countries. Well, today, according to the information from the Arab resources, the Russian army in Syria starts to arrest the commanders of the Wagner forces in that region. So there is something ongoing, more clashes between the Russian force groups. Today, the United States of America has approved the new military package for Ukraine. It's around $500 million. The list of the equipment you may see just on the screen, and there are lots of the stuff. Plus, Congress presses Biden to deliver the cluster munition to Ukraine. It will help to just demolish the Russian defense lines. About the Abrams tanks, Poland will play a great role in that deal as the supply and maintenance hub. In city of Poznan, there will be military facility open to repair the damaged tanks or to maintain them according to their maintenance schedule. Orban, again, it seems like this guy lost the tiny pieces of intellect that he got before. He said that Putin is not a military criminal, even though Putin is wanted by the international court, right? Plus, Ukraine is no longer an independent country. Reaching the peace depends on the United States. Well, I would agree about the United States. The more weaponry we'll have from the United States, the faster the peace agreement will be reached with Russia, then we will get rid of them on our territory. He also spoke against the sanctions that the European Union applied on the Russian Federation, because even under the sanctions, Russia is not on its knees. Well, honestly, it's my personal opinion that Hungary has no future with those politicians who are ruling their country. I think in that case, Hungary should be excluded from the European Union. They should be cut from all of the financial help that the European Union gives to them, and we'll see how this guy sinks after it. By the way, today the Russian court officially closed the criminal case on the attempted military coup performed by the Wagner soldiers. So no any accusations towards Wagner, nothing. More news about the Wagner. According to the Russian Defense Ministry press office, Wagner will transfer to the Russian army all of its heavy armored vehicles, tanks, BTRs, the air defense systems, artillery systems as well. Shoigu, you'll have lots of the ammunition. According to the Washington Post article, if Ukraine continues the same assault at the same pace, it will take us around 16 years to liberate all of our territory. That's why if the Ukrainian army will not get the efficient success this summer, our Western allies will start to push Ukrainian government to start the peace talks with Russia. Well, I think that it will not work with the current Ukrainian president and with the current opinion of Ukrainian citizens. The Chinese ambassador in Ukraine that China raises no objections if Ukraine would return all of its territory, including Crimea. The news of relief are coming from the United States of America, from their officials, about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The National Security Council, John Kirby, today said that they are monitoring the situation around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. He says that for now we have not seen any indication that this threat from the Russian side is imminent. Plus, he added that there are no any signs that Russia would try to use the nuclear weaponry on the territory of Ukraine. Well, hopefully Kirby is right, because we have this informational wave from mostly Ukrainian side, from our president, intelligence, from chief of police, from all of the officials basically, that Russia is going to cause the new catastrophe on the Ukrainian territory, destroying the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant reactors. So with those news from the United States, I'm more or less relieved. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine. Now don't forget to press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, there are some links in the video description just below. You may support me on PayPal, Patreon, or on the sponsorship of my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your awesome support. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.